Nobody likes the word manipulation. It sounds dishonest, controlling, maybe even evil. Most people hear the word and immediately think of toxic partners, scammers, politicians. But the uncomfortable truth is that manipulation is something every human being does. In fact, most of the caring things people do to each other involve some form of manipulation. So, before we decide whether it's good or bad, it might be worth asking yourself what the word actually means. A parent will hide vegetables in a child's food because they know that the child won't make the right decision on their own. A friend invites someone for a coffee instead of bluntly telling them that they have been isolating themselves for weeks. A doctor will carefully choose their words before delivering the difficult news because they know that panic makes people stop listening. None of these people are trying to deceive anyone for selfish reasons. They are trying to guide an outcome while taking human psychology into account. The reality is that people rarely respond well to pure honesty without consideration. Most of us like to imagine that we are rational and objective, but we are emotional creatures. The moment we feel judged, embarrassed, or attacked, we stop listening and start defending ourselves. That's why technically correct thing to say is often the least effective thing to say. Now imagine telling a friend, "You've gained too much weight and you have to get your life together." That statement might be true, but it's unlikely to generate the result you were hoping for. Consider that to saying, "I've been thinking about getting back into shape. Wanna go to the gym together?" The desired outcome is exactly the same, but one approach generates resistance, while the other approach generates cooperation. Good parents understand this instinctively. Good teachers understand it. Good leaders, doctors, and therapists understand it too. They know that the way the information is presented matters as much as the information itself. They're not lying, they're just increasing the chances that the information will actually be heard. This is where manipulation starts to become more complicated than most people want to admit. The techniques themselves are neutral. Understanding people's fears, motivations, emotional state can be used to help them make better decisions. They can also be used to exploit them. The mechanism is the same. The intention is what changes. That's why manipulation appears everywhere. Advertising relies on it. Politics relies on it. Sales relies on it. Everyday ordinary social reactions rely on it. People adjust their language, presentation, and timing depending on what kind of reaction they want to create. Most of it happens so naturally that we barely notice it. The problem is that many people never learn to recognize these patterns. They know that manipulation exists, but they don't understand how it works. They can identify obvious examples when someone is clearly being deceptive, yet they miss the subtle forms happening around them every day. They don't notice when fear is being used to influence them. They don't notice when scarcity is manufactured. They don't notice when flattery is being strategically deployed before a request. Ironically, the people who avoid learning about manipulation because it feels morally uncomfortable are often the people who are most vulnerable to it. They think that not studying influence will somehow protect them from influence. The reality is quite the opposite. If you don't understand the tools that are being used around you, you are most likely to be affected by those tools without even realizing it. Learning about manipulation doesn't make you manipulative any more than learning about viruses makes someone sick. It simply increases awareness. It helps you to recognize when someone is genuinely trying to help you and when someone is trying to use you for their own benefit. Understanding persuasion is less about controlling other people and more about understanding the forces that are already shaping human behavior. The truth is that influence has always been part of human interaction. Every conversation contains it. Every advertisement contains it. Every movement, ideology, and institution relies on it to some degree. The idea that we can remove manipulation from human life entirely is unrealistic because communication itself is an attempt to influence how another person acts, thinks, or feels. The real question then isn't whether manipulation exists. It always has and always will. The real question is whether you are aware of it, whether you can recognize it being used against you, and whether you can use the same understanding responsibly when you are trying to help another person. That's not a dark skill. It's simply part of understanding how people work.